Hi, welcome back to our shir. Tomorrow's shir is back on track, Baruch Hashem. This year is Leilun Nishmas, my father, Menachem ben Akiva, and we are in the first Amud Aleph of Perek Mefanin in Masechet Shabbos, Daf Kuf Chaf Zayin Amud Aleph, and we're learning about clearing out, clearing away, emptying the otsar, which means, let's say a person has a place in his farm, a room in his farm, like a barn or a granary, where he keeps his wheat and barley, the animal food, and now he wants to clear it away. He wants to take it out in order to empty the room, in order to host people, either for achnosas orchim, or he wants to have a shear going on over there. And we saw a machloikis regarding that. We saw that although the Mishnah says that the amount of kupos, the amount of boxes you can take out is 4 to 5, this is actually a machlokas, meaning Rav Chizda interprets the Mishnah to be saying that regardless to how many orchim you have, you can only empty 4 or 5 kupos, and that's it. That's what it sounds like Rav Chizda was saying. You can only empty 5 kupos in order to host a guest or have a shir. That's what Rav Chizda said. Well, Shmuel was saying that there is no limitation, and 5 kupos just means to say 4, 5, and more. You can empty as many as you want. There are other issues that we discussed, which is muktzah, etc. But right now, we're discussing just the topic of, according to Rav Chizda, not being able to take out too many boxes to carry too much burden. Why not? Why is it not allowed to carry more than 5 kupos, or 5, heavy kind of kupos of boxes full of animal food? It could be anything else. We also learned yesterday you can't empty and take out too many jugs of wine, bottles of wine. And the answer is tircha. Tircha is an uvda dechol. Tircha is extra work. A person is not allowed to exert himself to work too hard on Shabbos unless it's for a justifiable reason. That's what Rav Chizda believes, while Shmuel believes that as long as we're talking here about orchim or about Talmud Torah, then you can empty almost the entire area, because that's a tircha that's allowed. So basically, here comes the Gemara with a question, iboy lehu. The Gemara will now focus on Rav Chisda, which does see tircha as an issue. Even when you have a shear going on, or chnasas orchim, you can't just go on a field day. You can't just, go wild and empty 95% of the otsar. If you have, let's say you have a shear, I'm talking about before we get to the real numbers soon. Let's say you have 20 people, you want to empty a room 10 kilometers big. No, you can't. You can only empty in ratio of the orchim and not more than that, which is up to 5 kupos, and that's it. Now, what I just said now is in fact a question, as we're going to see. Ibai lehu comes a question from the Talmidei Beis Medrash. Hani arba v'chamesh ka'omar. These 4 or 5 boxes, let's decide you can have an amount of 5 you're allowed to clear out. Is it afagav the isle orchin tuva? Is that true even if he has many guests? Says Tosfos something interesting, that 4 or 5 is per one person. Okay, you can be spacious and empty 4 or 5 boxes for one guy. Are we saying that 5 boxes is the maximum, and I don't care even if you have 20 guests, the 90 others should stay outside, find another solution? You can only empty 5. That's the way we understood till now, or maybe not. Which means maybe those 4 or 5 boxes is per guest. In other words, if let's say I can empty 5 boxes and I have 5 guests, I'd be able to take out 25 boxes. Yeah. In other words, even according to Rav Chizda, was more machmir on tircha. It's not like 5 and that's it. 5 and you just can't move out of that number, as we understood before. Now the Gemara is suggesting another tzad, maybe not. Maybe 5 means that if you have according to Tosfos, one guest takes the space of 5 boxes, or you can allow him to have more spacious place. But still, if you have whatever you have 4 guests, you're allowed to have 20. 5 guests, 25. Meaning that amount is per oreach, and you can't allow each oreach to have 6, 7, 8. Let's say one oreach, he's a big fat guy and he wants a big table with a lot of food. He says, no, for me, I want 10 kupas cleared out. Yeah. No, you can, that for sure you cannot do. Yeah. But maybe you can have an allotment of 5 kupos per person, or maybe not. Maybe 5, and that's it. That's a question. By the way, and the Rishonim stress that we're talking here according to Rav Chizda, as I told you. Because according to Shmuel, for sure you can empty according to the guests more and more. Yeah, according to Rav Chizda, according to Shmuel, excuse me, we said that you empty 4 or 5, and if you need more, you empty more, no problem. And if you have a guest who is a very choshev a guest, he wants 100 kupas empty just for him, no problem. L'chatchila was mashma from Rashi. Also, according to Shmuel, you have to be mitztamtzem. But at the end of the day, according to Shmuel, clearly you can have as much as if you feel it's important, as much as you want, even for a small amount of guests. According to Rav Chizda, was obviously limiting it more. There's a question now within Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda was mitzamtzem. Is Rav Chizda super strict? 5. That's it. The customs. In the airport. It's like it's like the lady, with a suitcase in this airport. Yeah, you start saying Tilim, because you have 20.5 kilos. Rachmana litzlon, they don't allow 20. Shira ma'alois, you whisper, so she shouldn't listen. She would know they have too much weight. So is it 5 and that's maximum limit? Finish. I don't care how many guests you have, or no. Or maybe, although it's limited more than Shmuel, but still it's 5 per person. Yeah, well, Shmuel can say, no, can have 10 per person. I don't care. Yeah, that's a question. The intim tzelomar kol of Now another suffix built upon the first suffix. If you want to tell me that each oreach can have 5 kupos emptied, if so, is it chad gava mefani lekulhu, or dil magava gava mefani lenafshi? Can we have one person, in every chevra you have one macher? Can that one macher empty for everybody else? Yeah, can the macher guy with the big muscles, can he just clear out 100 kupos for 100 divided by 5 for 20 people, right? For 20 people, the whole place, he can empty one guy, or deal or maybe not. Or maybe each person should clear just for himself. Why? To avoid tircha. That one guy, it's very nice, he wants to help everybody else, and he schleps all 100 boxes out, but maybe that's too much of a tircha. Or maybe not. Or maybe we don't mind if one guy wants to do the whole thing, since at the end of the day, we have sufficient amount of guests that justify emptying everything, so maybe it's okay. Or maybe not. Maybe even when you empty for everyone, still each one, per person, each one should clear out his own. Or maybe some Rishonim say for his friend also, but not one person for everybody. So let's see. Toshma, let's hear the following story. One time Rebbe went somewhere. He saw that there wasn't enough space for the Talmidim. It was too tight, so he had to go somewhere else. He went out to the field to give shear in the field. And he found a field full of imorim, of bundles, wheat, barley, omer. The Ime Rebbe Kolos Adekula. Oh, that's interesting. So Rebbe was me'amer the entire field. That's very, very difficult. What do you mean me'amer? Me'amer is osir. Me'amer is nav melocha. Rebbe was a religious man. So what does it mean? So Rashi right away says, listen to Lashon Rashi, look at the Lashon Rashi. Rashi says Imer, which means Pina Imorim, the Karmeli Savoy, which means Rebbe basically wasn't me'amer in the classical sense of the word to amass them, to basically collect them. They were already collected. He kicked them, he moved them to the sides. How can you move Imorim? It's a field. Well, a field is a karmelis usually. That's as we learn, Daf Daled Daf. And now that karmelis For dvar mitzvah, you're allowed to be mefane pochos medal adamis. There is a musag of pochos medal adamis, which b'shas adchat you can do, or sometimes you can do, especially, this is Carmelis, not Rosh Hashanah. Since Carmelis is the Rabbonon, and pochos medal adamis, which means what? You move 3.5, boom, stop. Another 3.5, stop, or 3.90. As long as you don't reach dal adamis in one go, you're not over Nisa Doraisa. Otherwise, Dal Adamas is Isur Doraisa. Yeah, as we learned, yeah, Dafta Divov, it's design. Now, you're not allowed to move Pochos with Dal Adamas for no reason. It's also the Rabbanon. But if it's Karmelis, which is only the Rabbanon anyways, plus Dvar Mitzvah, then it sounds from here that it's Mutter. Mishnebura is not so happy about it. There are other factors. If you want to move Pochos with Dal Adamas in the Karmelis, sometimes it's allowed for Dvar Mitzvah, B'Shas Adchak, toilet paper. There was a yeshiva once ran out of toilet paper. There's a field matzav. I'm not a poisek, as I told you about 1.5 million times, but there is such a musak. Ask your rabbi when it comes to it. And sometimes for mitzvah shaset chak, pochus medal damis is allowed. Also, it's even allowed in Roshus Harabim in case of monetary loss. But I will see in the last parak. That's not kitzer. So that's what Rabbi did. But what do we see? Wait a second. Rabbi himself sounds like he was me'amer the entire field. Oh. So what do you see? Sounds like, well, he had many guys in the shir, many people listening to shir. He was Rebbe, you know. He had a very popular shir, you know, like Daf Yomi International. And what? So he had the entire field cleared out for the Talmidim. There, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yoshia, another story, similar. Rabbi Chia, the same generation as Rebbe, he went somewhere, he saw again that the place, the indoor area, was too crowded, too small for the Talmidim. He went out to the field of the Carmelis. To the field he went out. He found the field to be full of bundles of wheat. So you see, Rabbi Chia also emptied and kicked and evacuated, cleared out the entire field. Clearly black and white. Since there are many Talmidim, therefore you could clear out many, as much as the Orchim need, not just 5 and finished, but even the entire field. You have many Orchim, you can clear away many bundles. The second question is not resolved. Why? The question was, is one person actually the one that's allowed? Can you allow one, very industrious, very diligent guy to clear away everyone's bundles for everybody? Or maybe not. Maybe each person clears for himself, which is less work. Yeah, less work. Just each one for his own. Less burden per person. Toshma, we're trying now to also figure that point out from our story, because look what it says. It says, Ve'imer Rebbe. Rebbe himself went, what a nice Rebbe. He himself went and he cleared away all the bundles. So you see, one person can do it for everybody. According to you, what you just told me, are you serious? Rebbe bedenafshe imer? You really want to tell me that Rebbe himself was me'amer for everybody else? They wouldn't allow that. Gdol Ador. Can you imagine the big Rebbe or whoever, big Rosh Yeshiva, Gdol Ador, clearing for everybody else? I wouldn't allow that, yeah? Clearly not. Ela Siva ve'imer. He's the one who ran the project. He's the one who told everybody, he commanded them to be me'amer, to clear away. La'olam, really? Kol chad v'chad mefane l'nafshei. But really, each one can be mefane on his own, for himself, and not one for everyone, for everybody. Weiter. I got it to time. I got it to Musa Baruch Hashem. Mipna Orchin, Amar B'Yochanan. So we see that you're allowed to clear away the question is to what point, but you are allowed to mefane for the Orchim, even a big amount, as we seem to be saying here. In honor of the Orchim, the need of Echnasas Orchim, you have people who came in the middle of Shabbos. I guess they came in the middle. You didn't know about it before. If you knew before, you would have done it on Friday. So they come on Shabbos, they need a meal. You tell them, come on, Gesundheit, come have my cholent with me. And you can even be mefane and be toreach. The question is to what point? Shmuel, of Chisda, but there is something there you can do in order to host the guest and also to have shir in this place. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, G'dol achnosas orchin k'ashkomas beis hamedrash. Achnosas orchim is as great as getting up early and spending time in beis medrash. It's unbelievable. Ashkomas beis medrash is learning Torah, and learning Torah early in the morning is tremendous schar. And yet we see that achnosas orchim, according to Rabbi Yochanan, is even greater than that. Wow. Excuse me, I made a mistake. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it's as great, not greater. Rabbi Yochanan says ke hashkomas. Achnosas orchim is tantamount, is equal to hashkomas beis hamedrash. How does Rabbi Yochanan know that? The Ketani, it says mipnei orchim mipnei bitul beis hamedrash. Orchin and beis hamedrash are juxtaposed. They're mentioned one next to the other. Looks like they carry the same value. That's Rabbi Yochanan. The Rabbi Menardo is slightly choylek, and he says yoysa mashkomas beis hamedrash, even more than hashkomas beis hamedrash. Wow. Achnosas orchim is greater than hashkomas beis hamedrash, more than getting up to learn to you for your daily shir, for beis medrash, for koilan. Why do you know that? How do you know achnosas orchim is greater than Talmud Torah? Diktani mipnei orchim. Look at the order of the Mishnah. First of all, it says orchim, the hada, and afterwards mipnei bitul beis hamedrash, and afterwards you say because of bitul beis hamedrash. I saw this Fasemis. I opened this Fasemis, not even Notzor Chochma, the actual Sefer, and this Fasemis says something very interesting here. Why is it really that Rabbi Yochanan believes that Ashkomas beis hamedrash and Achnosas orchim are equal? Isn't Rav Dimi correct? That the one mentioned first is orchim and only then beis hamedrash. So Fasemis is trying to defend Rabbi Yochanan. Couldn't he see the order? So Fasemis talks as though very, very charif. He says no. From our Mishnah, what's the context of our Mishnah? The context of the Mishnah is really that we're talking here about Oineg Shabbos, Tirchav Shabbos. Tirchav Shabbos makes sense when it comes to be Toreach for Shabbos. Achnosas orchim for a nice cholent Shabbos lunch justifies the Tirchav Shabbos as opposed to Talmud Torah. Which means we don't know which one is choshev intrinsically usually. Could be, Rabbi Yochanan would have said, the only, really, of course, Talmud Torah is more important, or as important, as Rabbi Yochanan says, as important. Why Achnosas orchim is mentioned first? Because here, the topic is, are you allowed to be Toreach for Toreach even though it's Shabbos? Shabbos keneged Shabbos. Achnosas orchim for Oinig Shabbos, to have nice cholent and kishken, kigel, and gale, that justifies Tirchav Shabbos. Talmud Torah is less connected to Oinig Shabbos. Of course, it's very important. So maybe that is a secondary thing, comes as number 2 in the list in order to justify the Tirchav Shabbos. Tirchav Shabbos versus Oinig Shabbos. Well, Talmud Torah is less of Oinig Shabbos. Mimel it's mentioned in number 2, but it doesn't reflect anything on the general value. That's what Rabbi Yochanan would say. Rav Dimi says no. Rav Dimi says, he also has another pshat in Rav Dimi, it doesn't matter now. And Rav Dimi says, no, our mission is coming to teach us a general lesson that really the orchin come before beis hamedrash. You have guests coming to you, you come and you host a guest, even at the expense of bitul beis hamedrash. I mean, I find it hard to pronounce such words, but I'm saying I'm not poisik, but that sounds like the going rate over here. Omar Yehuda, Omar Rav, more statements about the importance of Talmud Torah. Excuse me, of Achnosas Orchim. Omar Yehuda, Omar Rav, G'doyla Achnosas Orchim me'akbalos b'nei Shechina. The receiving guests in your house is more important than akbalos b'nei Shechina, than talking to Hashem, or davening, than be mekabel Hashem Himself. And that's a very, very famous scenario from the Torah with Avraham Avinu. Dichtiv v'yomer Hashem. It's a question if Avraham Avinu was talking to Hashem when the 3 angels were, standing above him as he was sick outside the tent. We all learn it in Gan. V'yomer Hashem im namatzotzi chen beinecho. Yeah, he's talking to Hashem, Avraham Avinu. Al tavar ma'al avdecho. In very simple words, Avraham Avinu is telling Hashem, "Thank you so much, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. I appreciate your bikkur cholim. If you don't mind, hold it here for a second. I got to talk to these 3 guys." Wow, what you talking to Hakadosh Baruch Hu? Whatever that means, yeah, you see that he can tell Hashem, hold it please, if you don't mind, and I'll be mekabel d'orchim. And Hashem never punished him for that. It sounds like that's the encouraged thing to do. So you see, You see, that's the way it is. That the Achnasas Orchim is greater than even seeing the face of Hashem, whatever that means. You see the greatness of Achnasas Orchim. And Amar Blazo, Bo Esh Shelo Ki Midas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Midas Basar V'Adam. You see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's midos, as much as you always compare HaKadosh Baruch Hu to a Melech Basar V'Adam, clearly the midos of Hashem are very different to the midos of a king of flesh and blood. What's the difference? One of the differences, midas Basar V'Adam, when it comes to a normal king, flesh and blood, en koton yochol omer legodol hamten achav etzlecha. The koton, the regular small citizen, cannot tell the godol, the great king, wait, and then I'll see you. You have an appointment to face with the Trump, yeah? You can't, Mr. Trump, you wait, you wait. What do you call him? Chutzpah. And he won't listen to you anyways. He won't do what you want him to do. The ilu ba'akadosh baruch Hu, Hashem it says, you see that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is anova, Hashem's anova, Hashem's humbleness, Hashem's anova allowed the Kadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, to allow Avraham Avinu, Hashem was willing to wait until Avraham Avinu finished his business with the Orchim, and then Avraham tended Kivyachol to Kadosh Baruch Hu again, whatever that means. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, of course, doesn't have his own gaiva, obviously. The Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be mechabed him for our own sake. It's our toiva, like the Ramchal says, Hashem created the world to be native to us. Hashem is all good, it's all about od yoter tov, as it goes today, as they say today. Yeah? Why? Hashem wants to do good to us. What's good to us? To be mechabed him. But if the right thing for us to do is to be mechabed orchim, or other things, it's okay with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's moichel al kvoid, like by soita. Hashem is moichel his kavod for shalom bayis. Another king wouldn't, because Hashem wants us to be happy, and real happiness is serving Hashem, either by giving him direct kavod, or by doing mitzvahs, which is another way for us to gain schar and be close to Hashem. Very nice, absolutely, very, very good. When you mechabed the orchim, you are indirectly mechabed Hashem, absolutely. Now we're going to deal with the famous Mishnah in Peah, but before the Mishnah in Peah, we have a statement by the Amoyroim. Amar Vidabal Shila, Amar Basi, Amar Be'echanon. Shisha Dvorim, there are 6 things, 6 mitzvos, midos. Adam Ochel Pe'osen Bo'olam Hazeh, V'aken Kemes Lo L'olam Haba. We are now going to very deep water, but we're not going too deep right now. We all know there's actually a machloikis in Kiddushin towards the end of the first parak, if I'm not mistaken. Schar mitzvah behai alma leika. Also the Gemara at the end of Chulin, I think. In this world, Kadosh Baruch Hu does not pay you or does not remunerate you, does not give you the reward, and compensation in Olam Hazeh, only in Olam Haba. However, there are certain things which are, but it's a machlokes, by the way. There's a shita there, I think, Rabbi Akiva, he holds there is char in Olam Hazeh. Here, this statement is somewhere in between. And Tosfos also talks, there's a Tosfos here, I'm not going to Tosfos right now, but basically there are exceptions to the rule. Let's accept it this way. There are 6 things which, although the keren, the principle, the schar, the main schar stays with you for Olam Haba, but you still benefit from the fruit in Olam Hazeh. Lahavdil, you have a bank account, you have the main money stays for later, investment, stocks, bonds, but you can still shave off some money every month. So some mitzvahs are so good, they're so fruitful, basically you have the main segula for Olam Haba, and you can still eat the dividends also in Olam Hazeh and enjoy Olam Hazeh. What are those mitzvahs? Now, what does it say? Shisha dvorim. Only 6 things. What are the 6 things that get you Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba? Veiluin, achnosas orchin. Oh, here we are. Achnosas orchin, to accept and receive and welcome guests. Achnosas orchin, especially, by the way, my friends, we're talking here about orchin who need your hospitality. Somebody comes from Chutz La'aretz, he doesn't have where to stay. A meshulach who comes to your door and you offer him a place, come in, have some, tea or water. It's a very, very big thing. I'm speaking from experience. Achnosas orchin ubikur choili. 1 second, there is a chat here. I don't think so. So Jason is asking, having my family for Shabbos, is it achnosas orchim? You talking about your married children? Possibly. I don't know, hilchas achnosas orchim. If you have the married children, maybe, because you mean your married children. I believe so. they feel home alone. A young couple, they want to be the parents. Yes, I assume so because they feel better with you. They have where to be, but they don't really. They want to be with the tati and mommy. I imagine so. I think so. Achnasas orchi, ubikur choilim, to visit the sick. The iyun tefillah. Again, time and again, the Rishonim remind us what's iyun tefillah. Rashi says lechaven betfilosa. You daven bekavana. This is something which gets you sechar here and there. What are the Rishonim saying? Remember, Tosfos says it many places in Shas. Iyun tefillah means because iyun tefillah it says in other places, like it says in Boches, yeah, Lamed Aleph, Lamed Beis. It says iyun tefillah is something that's mechal nefesh, something very bad. Why? Iyun tefillah means daven bekavana. It does not mean that after your Shmones you daven very bekavana, you expect quick results. Because Baruch Hu is not an ATM, Chas v'sholom. Baruch Hu has his cheshbon, his ways. The tefillah is about you becoming another person. I just saw today somebody sent me a very nice WhatsApp. I have WhatsApp now. Yeah, it's very filtered. Don't worry. Don't choshed me. So that's actually a lady. She sent and she said he quoted somebody Hasidish, and she said very nice that tefillah. You're not changing Hashem's mind. When you mispalel, you are becoming another person. You being another person, you deserve another kind of din. Because the tefillah changes you. Mimele now Hashem can change his din because you are somebody else. Interessant idea. I didn't go into it. It was just I saw it on the screen. It was a nice inspirational idea. So iyun tefillah. Now, fourth thing, vashkomas bes medrash, to get up early and learn Torah. Clearly, that's the best thing. A person who raises his children to learn Torah, he encourages them to go to yeshivas. That's much more important than anything else. The children should be b'nei Torah, learning yeshivas, not anywhere else. A person who gives his friend the benefit of the doubt, yeah, these are one of the most important 6 things. That's very choshuv. At the end of the day, we're going to see that the common denominator, although we don't see it right now, the common denominator later on will be discovered to be ben adam lechavero. Even not everything else here. Why? You'll see that eventually it's all to do with ben adam lechavero. And Rabbi Chanan Wasserman talks about that too. So these are the 6 things. Now, Eini, is that so? The Anant Nan. We learned in the Mishnah of Peah Aleph, Mishnah Aleph, which we say every morning. We sing a different song over there. These are the things, and by the way, these sounds, these and nothing else, are the things that get you to Olam Hazaschar and Schar Olam Haba. What are they? They learn Kibud Avaim. Okay. The Gmilus Chasadim. Kibud Avaim was not mentioned before. Gmilus Chasadim is a very general idea. Maybe yes, maybe no. Vavos Shalom Shemanodam L'Chavera wasn't mentioned before. But Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, learning Torah in general, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. Talmud Torah is more important than any other mitzvah. There are thick books written about that. Yeah, Talmud Torah is more than anything. Hani'in Midarchin Eloi. You see that here we only have how many things? Let's count. Kibud Avaim, Gmilus Chasadim, Avos Shalom, to bring peace between people, to be the Shalom Bais Macher, the peacemaker. Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. That's 4. First of all, it's only 4, not 6, and it's not the same thing. What a mess. What are those unique things that are Azeh and Haba? So the Gemara will now settle this and reconcile it, and we will see Rashi inside, already planted before, Bilshuschem. And says the Gemara, Hani Nami Behani Shaichi, which means really the second list includes the entire first list. Those 3 out of 4 things, in other words, besides Kibud Avaim, yeah, the 3 things which are Gmilus Chasadim, Havas Shalom, and Talmud Torah, these 3 things they include the first list. And for that, let's see how the magic of Rashi works. Let's see Rashi. Look at the first Rashi in the page, please. Says Rashi, Hanina Ba'ani Shaichi. Achnosas orchim ubikur choilim and gmilas chasadim. That's easy. Gmilas chasadim is a very general idea. Well, to be machnis orchim and visit the sick, that's included. Now, by the way, visiting the sick, they say today, I think that's halacha, is by phone or by email also. You ask the person, do you need anything? Do you need to do shopping? How are you doing? To show the person you care, it's better to come if you can, if you want to. But even if you pick up the phone and you call or you email, it's also a big thing. Gmilas chasadim. What about the next one? V'iyun tefillah. Wow. To daven b'chavona is gmilas chasadim. Why? Dichtiv goimel nafsho ish chesed. Yeah, nefesh is tefillah. It says nefesh is tefillah. The Masorah Shas brings down. When you daven, you do chesed. So I saw in the Dirshu booklet the say b'shem Rav Elyashiv, you mispalel. If your tefillah really works, you're helping everybody else. Because says Reb Chaim Kanievsky, we all know tefillah Shmoneh Esrei is all plural. If you have other people in mind, you bring the shefa to the world, not just for yourself selfishly, but for everybody else. And therefore that's considered to be chesed when you daven b'chavano. Now, so Gminus Chasadim already included a few items from before. Number 2 in the second list, Ashkomas Bes HaMedrash V'Gidol Bonu Talmud Torah, Hainu Talmud Torah, right? In other words, the 2 items from the first list of 6, Ashkomas Bes Medrash, to get up early to learn, and raising your children to be B'nai Torah. You don't care about some silly PhD, you care about Torah. That's the title you want them to have. That's Talmud Torah. Now, what about Danis Chaver L'Kav Zchus? Danis Chaver L'Kav Zchus, that's in the first list. No, but really it's included in the second list. Bichlal Avos Shalom. You also bring peace when you done your friend in a positive way, when you give them benefit of the doubt. The mitoch shemachriya lizchus. When you always machriya, you always decide that he's righteous and he's zakai. V'omar lo chotu li bezois onosoyo v'letoy v'niskaven. Even if the person sinned against you and caused you harm, you say it wasn't a chait, it was onus, he had no kavanah, he meant well. Yes, shalom beineim. At the end of the day, interesting. Avos shalom is not only between Reuven and Shimon, or Reuven and his Rebbetzin, between you and your friend. To bring shalom between you and your friend, it is also avos shalom. You're also part of the story. So concludes Rashi. Rabbi Yochanan just wants to explain the Bechlal. Rabbi Yochanan more than explain. Rabbi Yochanan wants to elaborate. Rabbi Yochanan wants to break it down to details. Who's Rabbi Yochanan? And Amoyro. He's explaining more in detail the Mishnah in Peah, which only includes 4. The Bechlal, Gimel de Masnisin, Isnu L'Hanachvov. Yeah? Those 3 of the Mishnah, let's visit the Mishnah again. The Mishnah said, quit Kibud Av for a minute. Gmilus Chasodim, so it's just explaining the types of Gmilus Chasodim. Havas Shalom Baram L'Chaveiro, says Rabbi Yochanan, also means between you and your friend. Tam Tomer Kereget Kulam means you rise early to Bis Midrash, and if your children see you get up early to learn and you care about it, they'll become a Torah because they follow your example. I continues Rashi. Besides that, besides those 3, there's another one of Kibud Avaim. Interesting that Kibud Avaim is not called Gminus Chasodim. I guess because you owe it to them. The Choyle, I think so. Hear what I'm saying? Kibud Avim is not Gminus Chasodim. Is, I'm such a nice guy. I'm going all the way to hospital to visit the soldiers. Some people do that. It's very nice. Yeah, I'm going out of my way. I'm inviting guests. What a nice guy. But Chabad Hoirim is not Gminus Chasodim. It's basic Akar Satov. It's basic midos. I think even before Gminus Chasodim. Kach nearly maybe. So Balchanan Vasserman asks a question. The Gemara sounds from in the Gemara in other places. Is mashma that when it comes to ben adam lechaveiroi, that is the common denominator between all different parts of this Mishnah in Peah. The question is, what about Talmud Torah? Milas Chasadim, clear. Ben Kibud Hoirim, 2. Havos Shalom ben adam lechaveiroi. But why Talmud Torah? Why is that called ben adam lechaveiroi? Says Rabbi Chanan Poshut. If not for Torah, the world would have exploded in half a second. If nobody would have learned, oy vavoy. That's quite helpful. Person who learns Torah is mamish mekayim the world. Do you want the world to just go poof? Some people would have liked it maybe, but we don't. So at the end of the day, when you learn Torah, that's the biggest help. Instead of saving the whales, you save the world. Save the world. How do you save the world? Come learn Torah. Tono bono. More about this page, most of the Omid we're going to learn about Dan Chav Zchus, the importance of Dan Chav Zchus, with very inspiring stories about Dan Chav Zchus. We'll do 5 minutes today, Be'ezus Hashem. Stay with us tomorrow, and let's go. Adan Chaver L'Kav Zchus, a person who's always done, he judges his friend favorably. Tanin Oisol L'Zchus, Hashem too, Mishamayim, they will judge him also in a favorable way, and B'dan L'Kav Zchus. Question is as follows. The Baal Musa asks, what do you mean? Dan the Kafschu says Rashi, he didn't mean, maybe he didn't see right. Many times you don't hear, maybe, yeah, he called you a good, maybe you thought he was talking to you in a disrespectful way and he meant well. That's what you can do. You can use the human quality of not always knowing the truth. But in Shamayim, Hashem knows the truth. Hashem knows b'chadr chadr chadorim of the heart what you meant. So how can Hashem be done kafschus? He knows that the guy ate chazir. He didn't look like chazir. It was chazir. He did it amazing. Hashem knows. So how can Hashem done the kafschus? And the answer is kafschus is not only about facts. It's also about the general perspective. How do you look at the person? Let's say you know that the person eats chazir, and you say, he had a bad upbringing, other factors. Tzakadosh Baruch Hu given down the kaf schus, meaning he will not judge you harshly. He knows the guy ate chazir, but he won't look at it like that. You look at it like that. In other words, yeah, same thing we can do with ourselves, our spouses, our children, many, all over life. Throughout the day, people can do things to you or to each other. You can view it as, the end of the world. And you can say, Sener, it's not the nicest thing in the world, but it can take it, it can tolerate it. That's the way Kadosh Baruch Hu will behave with us in a way of tolerance, not mistakes. Tolerance if we're more tolerant to others. Again, I'm repeating. Hadan chaver lekav zchus, donin oisel zchus. And here comes the story. There was a person who went down, meaning he went down south from his house in Upper Galilee. He worked, he worked as a sochir, as a worker, by a balabais, by a wealthy person in the southern part of Eretz Yisrael for 3 years. Okay, very nice. Erev Yom Kippurim, at the end of, and some people say Erev HaRegel, it was either Erev Yom Kippur or Erev Sukkot, Erev Yom Tov. Came his time to leave. He left, he worked there for 3 years. Came time to say goodbye. Omar Loi. Now the worker is, by the way, before we continue, we have to know that it says in the Mechilta that, I think one of the Midrashim, that the worker was Rabbi Akiva. And the Balabais was Rabbi Lezer Bar Chalsum. Yeah. Yes. Rabbi Akiva before he became from. So even though Rabbi Akiva was not a Talmid Chacham at all, and he was anti-Talmid Chachamim, but Rochel saw that he's Tzanua Me'ali. He had good midas. In this story, we're going to see how Rabbi Akiva's good midas, even before he was a Talmid Chacham, still Rabbi Akiva had very, starling midas, good qualities, and we're going to see it right now. So came Rabbi Akiva to the Balabais, to Blazer, Amar Loi, yeah, tell me schori, give me my sechar, give me my salary of 3 years. I'm going to go. I'm going to feed my wife and children. My wife and children are waiting to be supported by me. This is very interesting. Why? Because we see that Rabbi Akiva had another wife before Rochel. Makes sense? Maybe he had another wife, maybe divorced her. I don't know how that exactly works with the story. I didn't look into it, but he had a wife apparently, so he's asking the balabais, it's time to pay. I'm not now going to waste this on her playing games. I need to feed a family. Amar Loi, Enli Mois. Sorry, boom. After 3 years of working, Balbai says, I don't have money. I don't have cash to give you. No credit card either. Amar Lo, Tenli Peiros, to give me fruit. Amar Lo, Enli, I don't have fruit. Tenli Kalka, give me a piece of land, equivalent to the amount you owe me. Enli. Tenli Behema, give me some animals. Enli. Tenli Kol Muksasos. Okay, so give me some Kol Muksasos. Give me the linen, the beds, the pillows, nice blankets, Enli. Interesting. Hifshil Kelev Lachoirov. So then he basically, took his clothes and Hifshil. I think Hifshil Kelev means that when you work in the field, we remember Sotan Avkof Yudalid, I think around there, when you work in the field, you pick up the kapite, you pick up your long coat. Hifshil Kelev means you stopped working. Basically, I think it symbolizes the fact that now he can wear the long coat downwards. He went home, b'dava nefesh, with a heavy heart. He went home very disappointed. After the regel, after Sukkot, I guess it was Erev Yom Kippur, then came Sukkot. After Sukkot, Noto Babais Chol Beyodoi, the Imoy, he really took the cash in his hand and came to the house of Rabbi Akiva. The Imam Asu Gimel Chamoirim, besides the celery, he added to that the enough, so much fruit, yeah, that can be the burden of 3 donkeys. Echad shel Maichel, one of them contained food, Vechad shel Mishta, one of them was drinks, Vechad shel Mini Megodim, one of them was like, sweets, fruit, Volach lo lebeisoy, and he went to the house of the Powell to pay the Powell, which is Rabbi Akiva, Achar Shochlu V'Shotzu, after they ate and they drank, Nosan L'Schoroy, then he paid him his salary. Da 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 da. Cliffhanger. We can't continue. I have to daven Mariv, and so I have to daven Mariv. Thank you very much. The story will continue tomorrow. We can't go to sleep and bite our nails. What's going to happen tomorrow in the story? So there are more stories, even more intriguing. Thank you so much. It's Lochashkach to you who came tonight, and to everybody on YouTube and in the Heilige Torah anytime. Maybe all of it. Tzlocha, Brochen, always done. Everybody else, L'kaf Schus. Thank you. Bye bye and a good night.